Today's video is about my new Hammerhead Karoo 2. But before I get into that, I'd like to say a huge thank you to all those wonderful people who've bought me a coffee. With your generous donations, I was able to buy the Karoo. Previously, I used a Garmin Edge Explore, which was, to be honest, a bit of a love-hate relationship. I often found the interface difficult to use, particularly out on the trail, and using an app was often a faff. Now, what I wanted from a cycle GPS was reliability and a bit of simplicity. I'm not a technophobe, but for me, going out the door for a ride should be easy. If I have to wrestle with technology before I clip my feet in, I do get a bit fed up. And last but not least, I now wear glasses for some readings. Oh, damn! So a big screen is essential. And now for the part which really nailed it for me. I bought mine for £249 with a 45-day no quibble returns policy. So nothing to lose but lots to gain. It is worth shopping around. So things I liked about it. The display and the maps are great. The screen has a high resolution. It's more like a phone really than a 70s video game. And the route prompts are clear and a good size. And the auto pause worked really well. On Rise, the GPS accuracy appears great. Compared to the other computers that I've used, the display's really customisable. And an added bonus is that you can do all this on the device itself. No delving into apps and hoping for the best. I've set it up with different profiles for different sessions that I do. For long rides, I like simplicity. I use 2 pages, one for the map and one for data. And it's really easy just to scroll between the two. An added bonus is that there are also buttons. So if you are using your gloves, you can still change screens. It is features like this make you think the Karoo was designed really by a cyclist rather than a nerd. Or maybe they were both. One feature I love and hate is that you can get climb profiles as you go. It starts off at dark green and ends in red and then purple. Red for danger and purple probably for the colour of your face. If it's super steep. If seeing what's coming up really freaks you out, you can just hide it with one swipe down with your finger. As I found out on a recent ride, if it all goes totally pear-shaped, it will try to reroute you. Or alternatively, you can actually choose a different destination. Another pleasant surprise was that it actually uses Ant Plus sensors, the same as my Garmin. So I didn't have to buy any new ones, and in fact it seems to pick up my Garmin heart rate monitor quicker than the Garmin Edge actually did. Before I bought the Karoo 2, I watched a lot of reviews. And one feature that a few people thought was missing was that there is no accompanying phone app. I don't really understand this, as for me, this is a bonus. The interface is so intuitive, you don't need an app. Especially as the Karoo is in essence a phone in itself. If you want to, you can even put a SIM card into it to enable it direct contact to the internet at all times and direct tracking. I've not tried this, but I have used Wi-Fi. When you register your device, you get access to a dashboard page on the Hammerhead website. Using any web browser, you can plan and add routes from there. Then, the next time you connect the Karoo to the internet, new routes are added automatically. To illustrate how easy it is to use, I'm going to show you now how to upload a route. So let's go through it. So you go onto your dashboard, click routes, you're going to add a route, import the route, and then you drag and drop your GPX file and it starts to upload. Next step, turn it on, select routes, and there it is. It also uploads any rides I've done and training data when I get home. So for me, this can all be done seamlessly. When I was on holiday recently, I simply created a hotspot on my phone to sync everything together. It syncs to all of the usual planning apps like Strava and Komoot. For example, as a Komoot user, any routes I create on there are automatically uploaded onto my unit. It's simple and I don't even have to think about it. The battery life has been criticised by some, but in a recent ride I did with the screen brightness turned down to 33%, which was perfectly readable, and the Wi-Fi turned off, I had no problems with it whatsoever. After 6 hours of riding, I still had 60% of the battery left. So it should be good for a 10 to 12 hour ride, which to be honest, I don't do that often. If I think there may be an issue, I will just carry a spare battery that I can plug in as I go. So how do you attach it to the bike? Strangely enough, it has its own mount system. I don't know why they didn't really just go with the standard Garmin and Wahoo system set up. However, there is a mount included and an adapter, so you can fit it to your existing mount. If you are considering the Karoo and watching other reviews, just be aware that a lot has changed with both the software and the hardware since it was originally launched. I kept seeing that people were losing the USB cover, for example, on the early models. This was just a simple rubber plug, but this is now a captive plug, so I've certainly had no problem with mine. It is secure permanently attached to the unit. It does appear that this is a company that actually listens to your feedback. And also be aware that SRAM have bought out the company. So Shimano have stopped them from interfacing with their DI systems. But this recently has been sidestepped with the introduction of a third-party app. Even though it's been available for 3 years, there are still regular updates that introduce new features. At this stage, I would normally go through all the negatives, but to be totally honest, I haven't found any significant ones. Yes, the battery life could be better, and the inclusion of dual band GPS would be a good idea, but in its present state, it is very usable and definitely a big step up from what I had before. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, share it with your mates, and maybe if you consider subscribing. A huge thank you to all those wonderful people who've already bought me a coffee. Here you are, your names are below. It is lovely to see you. Thanks for watching, take care and have fun. And an added bonus, there are also buttons. So if you're using gloves. Sorry, could you have gloves on this, please?